So we're going to be talking about using the patch feature of ETC Nomad and Augmented. So far, we've been manipulating our lights by using the Magic Sheet function inside the Light Lab, or by clicking on and moving things around inside the Augmented 3D Visualizer. Sometimes we need a little more control over our lights, and there's some other parameters that we need to change and need to be able to control. So let's look at how we can use something called the patch feature of Augmented 3D, which is in a tab here. If you don't have a tab, you can add it to any of your workspaces from the list of setting up your workspace options. For now, we're going to take a look at one light, and I have hung channel 5 here in a high center position. And let's go ahead and turn it on at full. And let's choose a 36-degree lens here so that we get a nice circle so we can see what's going on. And let's choose a sharp focus so we can see the edges of the light, and make sure that we have no gobo and no color. So we can make all those changes here in the Magic Sheet, but sometimes there's a few other things we need to do as well. And we need to be able to get to the internal functions of ETC Nomad and change some things in the patch. So let's click on the patch tab and notice it turns blue. Again, from an earlier video, we know that that means we're in the blind and we're not working in a live situation where the audience would see it. We're working in the blind where we can change some parameters without them being visible on the stage. So here we're in the patch, and you notice we get a closer look at all of our channels 1 through 10. We also get a look at the type of light that's hanging there, and we get some coordinates for its position of where it's hanging in our three-dimensional space, where it's pointing, the orientation in the 3D space, and also the beam angle. So notice we've taken channel 5 and we set it to a 36-degree beam, which I just changed just a second ago. And we can see not all of our instruments are at 36, but channel 5 is at 36 degrees. We want to work on channel 5. So I'm going to highlight channel 5 here. And notice it also highlighted it in Augmented so we can see what we're working on. Now I have control over that fixture. And there's things inside the patch that I can change about that fixture that I don't have access to in the Magic Sheet. So let's go down here and click Augmented 3D. And you'll see it's giving me a list of its actual position and orientation in three-dimensional space. If we want to move that light, as in like physically move it over, this is where we can go into the patch and move this light down the hanging position or vertically or horizontally in space. So we can grab the position and orientation tools, and let's say we want to move it down the y-axis, which is going upstage and downstage. And notice it's going to leave me a shadow there of what my original position was, which will let me move that light in the hanging position inside my light ply. If I want to move it down the x-axis, I can click it to move it stage left, or I can go back to where it was, or I can click it the other way to move it stage right. If for some reason I want to move it in vertical space to make it closer or farther away from the stage level, I can lower it on the z-axis or raise it on the z-axis as well. We're going to put it back where it belongs. We're going to put it back in its original hang position. We can also change its orientation or its focus. First off, let me show you these. These change the focus 90 degrees at a time. So if I click this, it's actually shining in my face now. Let me show you the other way. If I click that, it's going to go 90 degrees. So it's going to go to the wall. If I click it again, it's actually pointing straight up. And then I can go back In this case, if I click it, it's actually shining right at us and then back up again. The same thing with the y-axis. I can shift it 90 degrees, 90 degrees again, 90 degrees, or 90 degrees. On the z-axis, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, or anywhere in between. So if I want to get something a little more subtle, I can use these tools in combination to change the focus of that light. Or I can do it back in my visualization tool the way we've already seen. So I'm going to set this guy back to its origin point of where it was already setting. So that gives us a little bit more of a manual control in a different sort of way over its position and orientation. There's also other options over here. One of the most important being the shutters. Shutters, I don't always want a round beam of light. And the shutters inside an instrument allow me to shape the light beam to fit around scenery, to make a specific look, to block it off of scenery or off of the audience's eyes. So with channel number 5 selected, I'm going to click on the shutters, and I get a digital representation here of my shutter control inside that instrument. So let's say I don't want this to shine in a circle upstage. I can start to pull in my shutter here. And as you can see, it's cropping off that light here in augmented 3D. And if we go back into live, we can see here how it started to shutter the light into a horizontal position or a squared position. Let's go back to shutters here. If I bring in the B shutter, you can see it starts to shutter off that side of the light. Right? And C shutters off the bottom of the light. And notice I can even change my circle to a square. I'm going to reset these by clicking thrust home. And I can also pull these in and angle them. So let's imagine I want this to come in here, but I don't want it to be a straight angle. I can shutter it off at angles by using these sliders here and manipulating those around until I get the shape that I want using my shutters. And I can reset them by clicking the angle back to its home position and the thrust back to its home position. So this allows me to change the shape of the light and have a square light, a rectangular light, something more custom than just that circle. I can also change, if we click on the database here, and again, I want to make sure my light is selected, so I'm working on channel 5. I can also go into the database feature and choose any gel that I know comes from the manufacturer. I can type in a number here, and it can give me any gel that I might know from a manufacturer to add that color. Or I can click on, let's see, let me make sure I'm selected here, and I can click on Gobo. And not only can I use the Gobos that are already in the Light Lab, but ETC has provided me with a catalog of just about every type of gobo from every manufacturer. One of the most popular is Apollo, and as you can see, they have color gobos, metal gobos, resolution, 2-color gobos, all kinds of crazy stuff to choose from. If I want that to look like a stained glass window, I can do that. Another really important manufacturer for gobos is Rosco. If I click on Rosco, I can use any of their gobos that are made out of glass, or I can choose from tens of thousands of steel gobos, and I can click through their entire catalog and insert here any gobo that I see that I might like. So I could drop that guy in, and I've got some polka dots, or I could, let's go back to Rosco and Let's go back to steel gobos. And let's say I want that shape. It looks like a cityscape. So we can change the gobo, and we can change the shutters, and we can also change the type of actual lighting fixture that's there. So we're going to be doing this for some of our other designs. But if you notice in here right now, I have what's called a Source 4 LED S2 luster. If I click on that, I can also choose from a lot of other lighting instruments, of hundreds of possibly thousands of lighting instruments that ETC has created inside Nomad. One of the ways to do this is to look by manufacturer. One of our most popular manufacturers of lighting is ETC, who makes this program. So here's a list of all the types of fixtures that they have created for this program. We're also going to be using some really generic lighting to as an entry-level learning. So we can click through here until we see generic. Generic will let us choose from backlight, a basic Fresnel, a basic key light. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to change this to a Fresnel. I can make sure that it's selected. I can go to attribute, I can click on type. I can click on manufacturer until I find generic. And then I can click on Fresnel, which is a basic top light. And as you can see, it's actually changed the type of light and the way it will respond and the parameters that I can, the kind of lighting that I can create with that top light Fresnel. And if we go back to live table, and then we go back to our live magic sheet, we can see that we now, instead of that Source 4 luster LED, we have a basic top light Fresnel.